Yeah, so my name is Jarrad. This is my wife Danielle, and we are 2/4 of the podcast Lord Forgive Us of Cinema, which we do with John and Annie Simon Valencia. They're just really good friends of ours who really enjoy movies. And I don't know, I've always been obsessed with film and exploring its themes and whatnot, and I just thought it'd be fun to take that and I don't know, join it with faith, and try to teach people how not only to watch film, but also to engage with it and engage in their faith with it. So that's kind of what the impetus was.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like movies that aren't Christian or aren't supposed to be Christian and just looking at it from a biblical lens.
Yeah, we want to explore like what the idols of certain movies are. Like what is this movie saying to you about the meaning of life? Because there are any number of meanings of life that people can carry around with them. And we obviously believe the meaning of life is to worship and honor God with our lives. So I don't know, we just kind of wanted to reappropriate, these films that have been made for different purposes, and we're like, how does this actually point to God?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was originally John and Jared's idea. John's not here, but and then Annie and I, his wife, were actually on the first episode, and it was just funnier. So they're like, you guys should just be on every episode.
Yeah, we had our producer Ray on the second episode, which we did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it was really fun. We fully intended to have different guests on for different episodes, but we took a little break after that, and we were just like, that first episode was so good. Like the dynamic between us all was so wonderful. Like we should just keep doing that.
I think because we know each other well and we're all like close friends.
Yeah.
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 No, those are really
that
fun.
Works.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, you guys know.
Because that same thing happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
We were inviting a lot of people, and then we find that like people wants to hear us.
Yeah.
And it's two, right? It will be more fun with 4.
Yeah.
Yes. That's cool. I love, like I was listening to the Coco one, and I really want to listen to the one with instructions not included.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Had you guys seen that film?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the guy is super famous in Mexico.
Yeah, for sure.
And he kind of like did a crossover coming to the US, Eugenio Derbez. But like Mili doesn't care about like names and who's who and actors, but she knows Eugenio Derbez.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
La Familia Peluche.
yeah, he had a show.
Because they're no good for you.
Yeah. La Familia Peluche it's kind of like a what do you say, comedy show. But kind of like the silliness of maybe The Simpsons type of like, right?
Yeah.
Type of comedy. But yeah, the guy was like genius and awesome since being in Mexico. But when he came here, it was almost like he had to start from ground zero.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And that was one of his, maybe not the one, but I would say probably the one breakthrough film that he finally, he's into something like with making
That was a
films in
really fun
America.
episode to do because we talked a lot about it in the episode. The context, the cultural context was just very different from like our context, and then just the way that they made the film too, it felt like a telenovela. Like it's just a very different like style of film.
Yeah.
So we had to adjust that, and we had a really fun conversation about it.
Did you guys like that movie?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I would say like really liked it. Like probably give it a 4 point something stars.
Yeah.
4.5 stars.
Yeah.
What I don't like is when actors acting.
But I also love like it was almost kind of like there's a few other films where you see this where it's kind of like trying to bring the cultures together. Like, okay, there's a woman who goes on a vacation to Mexico and ends up having like, a kid with this random guy, right? But those stories are kind of true, right?
Yes.
Like we grew up in Mexico, and there's a lot of like party boys and girls that come, during spring break and stuff. So it's kind of like a cultural thing as a Mexican, like seeing, and so I love that connection. Like, okay, let's do a movie that kind of like brings that interaction together, and even like the English speaking part, the Spanish speaking part, and all that melting pot. I feel like that's totally my jam, because it's even what we're doing with the Christian podcast. Like we want to have like you guys, like we want to talk, like it's not like we go out and just speak Spanish all day.
Yeah.
We're in the US, we're in wherever we go, we need to speak English.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of Spanish going on, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But but we love that interaction, and I feel like that film kind of like did that. That it approached it in that way, and I don't know. I feel like maybe it's also like breaking barriers a little bit. Like,
sure.
okay, what can Latinos do and other people do in films here in America?
Yeah.
So that's
just a lot now.
Yeah.
Coming.
Yeah, and I want to hear you guys, but I feel like, okay, so here's a perspective, and then we'll see what you guys think.
Yeah.
America and movies, it's just such an interesting topic to me, and that's why I love what you guys are doing with Lord Forgive Us Our Cinema, because I feel like America is the epitome of telling stories. This is the cuspid of where we've gotten as humans in order to be able to tell stories, you know, to the point where if you look at America, it's like, okay, what great stories do we find in like regular people? That's why the based on a true story movies are like so epic. It's like, wow, I can't believe that guy went through that to achieve this or to the dream or accomplish or whatever it was. But also America has the resources to produce great films, right? Even though there's films everywhere, right? There's really good films outside of the US, right? Really, really, really good films. But I feel like America has that like, let's tell stories. And even when I look at our culture right now, like The Chosen, like these Christian shows that are coming up, it's like, okay, people like, why is it being told from an American perspective, so to say, right? Because it's Dallas Jenkins versus somebody in Brazil or somebody in the Middle East, or it's in America, right? And this guy, and the show is in English, right? So that just speaks volumes to me, like, oh wow, that's the role of America in a sense, is to tell stories. So what have you witnessed in that, like as you talk about films and movies?
I think the
really interesting perspective.
The ethos of America is kind of a storytelling device. Like, America is a place where you have the opportunity to tell your story. You have the freedom to do so, and each of us has a story to tell. I don't know what else is behind that.
Yeah, which I do really love. Like I was thinking about this, probably for instructions not included. Like if you speak Spanish, it's probably like more like fun because you're like listening to it in the original language. Like, I've kind of always wondered that too, of like hearing the stories of people in other countries where you're like in the language that it's supposed to be in is probably really great. And so yeah, shows like The Chosen, I'm so glad they're doing that. But yeah, you're like, I wonder, they would have been speaking Hebrew or like not English, and so telling it in English so that like we can understand it is really sweet. But yeah, there is something maybe lost if you don't do it in the original language.
Yeah. Maybe. So what did you do? Why in Lord Forgive Us Our Cinema? Why do you approach like cultural, like there's movies out there versus, I mean, and not that to say you can't talk about The Chosen or Christian stuff, right? But why is that calling to, let's explore these movies, this just regular movies, like non-Christian movies, so to say.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a story behind that. I think the easiest answer is there's this quote from C.S. Lewis where he says, you'll help me with this, but the gospel is the lens with which I see all.
Well, yeah, it's like the sun, and so like I see everything else because of the light of the sun. And so it's like I want to view Christianity that way, which I'm butchering it too, but it's like I want to view Christianity that way, where like I see it's the light by which I see everything else. And so I think coming to like culture like that's not supposed to be, or like not originally Christian, and saying like we were all made in the image of God, and so what does it look like if we look at it through that lens? And then because you can see it, like people long for, there's things that they long for. Like we talk about this in like I don't remember which episode, but it's in Marvel movies. Like we love the stories where like one man dies for everyone else to save everyone else. And that's written into our history of like, we love that because Jesus.
Yeah.
With like the Once Upon a Time episode, like you see this redemptive arc in it. Like there's an acknowledgement from the director Quentin Tarantino that this world is not what it's supposed to be. Like it shouldn't have been like this. Sharon Tate shouldn't have been slain this way. So like using his like creative liberty, he actually takes the story and turns it into a fairy tale, and just reshapes, like not necessarily how we see that history, but reshapes how we could see our history. That, you know, we can change things, we can transform things, that there's something redemptive out there that we can capture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that honestly, the impetus for so much of what we're doing on the podcast was a class that I took in college. It was called Faith in Film. And in the class we had, I think, 12 different movies throughout the course of the year. Each week we would cover one of the movies in the class, and basically we would just watch the movies and then discuss them together. And they were not always, each film had an aspect of faith to it, but they were not, you know, Christian movies. And it just taught me to see art through the lens which I already possess as a Christian. And try to glean what is redemptive, and what is true, what is valuable to take away. And like Quentin Tarantino was doing in his movie, attempt to redeem what we see, and trusting and knowing that there's a better way, you know. I think that's really what we wanted to do with the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. That's awesome. No, and I think you're doing it well. And yeah, no, it's awesome. I love it. So that's where it started. It came from like that idea when you were in school, like, oh, we can kind of like analyze from the faith lens. So talk about your faith. Like, where does that come from? Like, did you grow up as like Christians, or did you have like a come to Jesus moment? What was it like for you guys? Because I mean, it's pretty deep. Like when you go into the themes of the movies, you're analyzing it like, okay, this guy's been around for a while. Like they know their theology in a sense, right? Yeah. Like, so that's pretty cool. But where does that come from? Like,
yeah,
your background.
So I grew up in like where it was very like Southern, like my first introduction of Christianity was like very like rule following. You like follow the rules. How I got the gospel out of that is like the miracle of God. But then yeah, I think when I was like 19, you kind of just realize like, okay, I cannot go to church anymore. No one's making me. I don't have to be here. And so I always kind of think of it as just like a slow, like, I don't know. I feel like every year that I've been alive, God has just drawn me closer to him. And so I think like, I don't know. I think God was pursuing me far longer than I was pursuing him. But yeah, I don't have this like vast, like I was a rule follower, like did all the right things, you know, and so I don't have a vast like a story that's like, and then I was a Christian. It was kind of just a slow like progression of like and then every year I feel like God just like draws me closer into like a relationship with him in a new way that I'm like, how is this going to keep going until I die? Probably.
And she's talked to me in the past about like when she was younger, like there wasn't like much religiosity in her life because of her parents, but God was always a presence to her.
Yeah.
You know, like she was always just drawn to him. You know, and it took a while for her to really take ownership of her faith, but you know, once she did, she recognized that God had always been there for her.
Yeah, and I think really in college too, it was like a which just kind of ties into the podcast where I think you get to a point where you learn like no one is looking at my life from a distance and like going like she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't do drugs. I want that life. They like it's like walking with in college I got to walk in life with a lot of people that didn't love Jesus. And that was just really formative for me. It made me just want to go, oh, I want to like live life with people that don't know the Lord. And then they go, I want the hope in you, or I want the peace in you. Like, and I think that was just really like something that kind of comes through on the podcast where it's like, I want to like engage with people in the things that they love and like, and then say, here's where we find true hope, you know?
And engaging with people where they are, you know, I really appreciate that. We've been able to kind of cover that. Like we're not investigating these films from a place of judgment, you know, where like, cause we recognize like before Christ, we were there, you know? And I'm always so confused by Christians who will see what the world does and like judge it. Like, why do you do it like that? And it's like, well, you have Christ. Why? Why would you expect them to not do that? They don't have Christ, you know? And so how do we engage with people where they are, knowing that it is God who transforms, it is God who changes them, you know, it is God who sanctifies. No, we just get to come alongside people.
Yeah. And I think it would be really easy as a Christian to be like, like, well, I'm not watching these kinds of movies because they say X, Y, and Z, or they have like these things in them. And I think there is just something like people are more willing to listen to you if you'll sit in the places that like they want to be in. And so,
yeah.
My faith story, I did not have a sense of God growing up. When I was pretty young, I remember hearing, it was on NPR, some report about a devastating earthquake in China. And I remember deciding in that moment, I was like, there can't be a God in this world. And that's just how I felt for a long time, until my senior year of high school. We read a book called Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. It's a book about a Buddhist Brahmin. So like a Brahmin is like a priest in the Buddhist tradition. And this Brahmin's son like rejects his faith and decides to go on his own journey of spiritual enlightenment. And I found myself so entranced by that book and reading the final scenes in it. I remember thinking like, there has to be a God. And from that moment on, I began kind of exploring faith, and I explored everything from like Mormon, faith to
Where did you grow up?
Scientology. I mean, I grew up in Tucson.
Oh wow.
yeah.
I just became so interested in religion and all its different, all of its different colors, the way that people worship differently. And I looked into everything except for Christianity, because I just assumed I knew what Christianity was. I grew up around it. I didn't like church people. And I mean, God pursued me, like Danielle said. He pulled me in kicking and screaming.
Wow.
I ended up going to rehab when I was 19, and when I was in there, I just happened to have a Bible with me, which I don't know how that got there. And I remember asking my dad, who was not particularly religious, like, is there anything in the Bible that you like to read? And he said Psalm 23. And I read that. And it reminded me so much of what I discovered, like the beauty I discovered in the book Siddhartha. Him sitting by the river, being led by still waters, and, his soul being quieted, like almost by nature, And I was just like, oh, there's something here. And I don't know, in about a year's time, I warmed to Christianity, and, he found me and pulled me in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. How old are you now?
I'm 38.
Wow. Okay. So it's been maybe another 19 years.
Yeah.
I was baptized. Cool. I was baptized when I was 21.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, yeah, in a sense, I feel like the Siddhartha and the Bible, right? It's kind of like almost the same thing you're doing with the films, right?
Yeah.
Here's kind of like the culture or the religion of the world, where you found beauty. But then when you read Psalm 23, it's like, oh, this is kind of like God's beauty. And it's similar to the beauty I found here. So where do those overlap, right? So I love that, because I feel like we are made in the image of Christ, right? So Mili always says, we all have the same longings. Like it doesn't matter if you're Mexican or American or rich or poor or black or white. Like we all have the same needs.
Yeah.
Right. And those are the needs for like relationship, for beauty, for to love, to be loved. And maybe those are the themes that also kind of like when you watch a movie, those are either the themes that move you or don't, or at least move your emotions, right? Where you see like, oh, okay, that has this. So going back to Quentin Tarantino, that movie, when I saw it, I totally thought, this is hopeless, but you're saying like you saw redemption. I saw more like the justice side.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, but also almost like a humanly justice, so to say.
Yeah, for sure.
And more like revenge justice.
It's not perfect. It's not ideal.
Yeah. But I like you have a different point of view. Like you saw like, oh, there's more like a redemptive justice.
More so in
like Sharon Tate.
Yeah, the act of the film itself, you had these people, confused, disoriented, like disillusioned, following Charles Manson do this horrible thing.
Which did really happen in real life.
Which really did happen. And I think that's an interesting film to watch twice. Because the first time, especially if you're familiar with the history of the Sharon Tate murders, the first time you're watching it, like you're just on edge the entire time. And you're watching a Quentin Tarantino film. So it's like, is this movie going to end with the most horrifying thing I've ever seen?
Yeah.
And Quentin, who was a big fan of Sharon Tate and just a lover of movies, you know, saw this thing that happened that, like, in a lot of ways kind of brought the 60s to a close, brought that kind of like hippie, like optimistic, you know, lovey-dovey kind of lifestyle to a close. And he said, like, this was wrong and it shouldn't have been, you know, and how, not only how could it have been better, but how could it have transformed the lives of people if it didn't happen, or if it happened in this way. And you see at the end when Leo's character is at the gate of Sherrington. Yeah. Like he's engaging with them about what just happened, and they're able to then go on and live their lives, you know. And I think, you know, what happens to the Manson members is just, you know, like that's what we all deserve, you know, outside of Christ. You know, we all deserve death. But just that, like, what happened to them happened, and it didn't happen to Sharon Tate. Like, there's a redemptive aspect of that. That, like, you know, Quentin Tarantino as the filmmaker playing God said, this is unjust. I'm going to change it. You know, I'm going to enter into history and just like make it different, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing that I saw. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think Tim Keller says we're big Tim Keller fans, but he says that like if Jesus really raised from the dead, then that means that all of the like Christianity is the only like religion where we're just like redeeming the world, where all of the sad things will become untrue. And so I think that was an example of like a sad thing becoming untrue, and so that's what we long for. Like we want the world.
That was the act of his film. The you know, the reason for the film existing in the first place is he wanted to make a sad thing untrue, you know. And even if it's just in a cinematic language, like for a second there, we can actually just like escape the horrors of our world and like sit in the possibility of like the bad being undone.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow, that's cool. Okay, so Mili and I watched this is not necessarily a film, but kind of like film like the Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we went up to like, I guess, the final season, right? We think it was kind of like the meme where it's like a nice drawn horse, and then the other half of the horse is just like sketched.
Yeah, they rushed the final season, right?
That's what it felt like. Like, oh yeah, it sucked at the end. But then looking back, I'm like, Mili, that was a really dark show. Like now I feel almost like regret watching it. Like that was kind of, I don't know. And I mean, if you watch it, you watch like we did, right? I mean,
year.
Start,
with a friend of ours gave us the first DVD.
The first season, yeah.
And the first scene, like, no, take down. I don't want to see. But everybody was talking about. Then we have them, and you know we wait for the kids to go to bed, and then it's our time together.
Yeah. And it's a cultural phenomenon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and so the reason I'm bringing that is because I think I overheard you guys when you were coming in that you said you're working on some like themes for Halloween or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like as of now, I feel like this is a harsh word. I'm gonna change it. I dislike Halloween. I see it and I'm like, okay, it's fun for the kids and this and that, but I dislike it so much. But I grew up like watching horror films. Like I grew up watching like, you know, the guy with the chainsaw.
Oh yeah.
The Freddy Krueger, like all of those.
Chucky.
As a kid, right? And I was like the typical kid, like when this is in the 80s. The 80s were epic.
Yeah.
Right? The 80s were just amazing. But sitting down because maybe my siblings were older than me, or some friends that came over and they're watching a horror film, right? And it was the thing to do back then. And I'm the kid watching, and they just made me close my eyes. Maybe when some scenes, either like, you know, sex stuff or stuff like that would appear, like, oh, close your eyes. But I remember watching it, and it was pretty gnarly. Like, I mean, like blood and stuff like that. And And I know like some Christians love watching horror films, and I'm not gonna say like if you love watching those.
I do not. I do not.
Okay. But I know some do, right? And
yeah.
I love horror. I love horror, but it's mostly because I love film.
Okay.
Like I'm pretty squeamish when it comes to like blood and gore. And also if the point of the film is just blood and gore, like I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
You're not actually telling me a story. You're using a story to show me violence.
Okay.
And we have enough of that in the world.
Yeah. So what helps you see maybe the beauty in a horror film? Like where do you see themes? Even for people that love horror films or maybe that are curious about, let's say their horror films is kind of like their Siddhartha thing.
Oh,
how would you bring them to maybe like scripture theme horror?
Well, I have an answer for this, but I'm curious to see what Danielle has to say as someone who doesn't like horror.
Who doesn't like it? I think the way we choose movies for the podcast is we'll rotate who picks the movies, and I didn't get to pick any for like the month of October, so I had to watch terrifying movies. Which I was really sad about. And now I'm like, I just want to, because I would have
menu wasn't so bad.
That wasn't so bad. But I would pick movies like Casper or like Hocus Pocus, like fun Halloween
Town.
Yeah, Halloween Town.
Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge.
Yeah, things like that. But I think for me, I was trying to think of like, see it as like, okay, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like this isn't supposed to happen. And so how would I kind of try to finish the story of like, how would there be a redemptive aspect to this, which I think was really hard. And some of them I'm thinking of like which we like watched the Blair Witch Project, and I was like, this was really hard to like kind of see the redemptive aspect of it because it ends so horribly. But yeah, I think I'm just like I'm like you. I'm like closing my eyes through parts of it.
Yeah.
I think the way I would go about answering that, because that is a difficult question.
Yeah.
I think that there is good and there is justice in showing our world as it is. And so much of the horror genre is exploration of grief and trauma, which we all experience. And it's taking grief and trauma and then almost making it into like a parable of, our time or the fears that we're experiencing either as individuals or as a collective culture. Like I think Get Out did a really good job of that, of taking like an entire culture, like a Black cultural view of horror. And like, this is what's scary to us, I think horror does a great job of taking what is terrifying and bringing it to the light so that we can actually explore it. So that we can, I think I have a friend who pointed out to me once, this is Andrew Boring, that like horror helps us understand ourselves better. Because we not only look at the worst in others, like we actually, like if we're honest with ourselves, get the opportunity to look at the worst in ourselves. And then go out into the world and be like, that's not what I want this world to be. That's not right. Like I want it to be different. But I think more than anything, I want to say about horror is horror reflects our world in a way that it is, but a way that it's not supposed to be. And yet it tells that story. Engaging with it is good for us because we have to engage with the darkness of this world. Like if we don't, we actually don't end up going anywhere where people are. We end up like sheltering ourselves from the realities of those who are around us all the time. And so I kind of believe maybe this is naive, maybe this is kind of idealistic, but I believe that horror helps us like process through the darkness around us. And I also think that just like the genre itself, like the fact that it exists is just like, this world is not supposed to be this way. There should have been something different.
I was reading the book of Apocalypse, and it's something I don't want to read.
It's a little horrifying.
Like that's crazy how the angels coming from heaven and like gonna kill every animal see, like, just picture that.
Mm-hmm.
How devastated will, and it's gonna happen. Already happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horror movie for me.
Well, there's stuff.
That's true. The Book of Revelation.
There's stuff in our Bibles. There's stuff in our Bibles that is more horrifying than anything I've seen on screen.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Like the Book of Judges from beginning to end is horrifying. And we have to ask ourselves, why is this in our Bible? Like God had a redemptive purpose for it. Like, why is this here? You know,
Jesus was willing to come into history when all of these terrible things were happening. And I think that maybe is like an aspect of like us being willing to sit, like watch horror movies is like, and for me, that's what I was like, I'm like, okay, this is a chance for me to sit in like the grief of the heaviness where it's like, okay, this, because things like this really happen. Like people really murder people. It's like, it really happens. And it's like, yeah, kind of asking yourself, like, am I willing to sit and like grieve the hard things of this world?
And I think there's also a big thing too of just engaging with good art. I think has redemptive qualities to it. Like to see, like if you watch a good horror film, you're watching a person. I mean, it's not just one person. Every film that is made is a village effort, but you're watching like a village of people come together and create something that allows people to see different perspectives or see different paradigms or whatever. Like if it's not just horror, but any good film, any good piece of art, like shows you something good and true. And I think those things should be celebrated, by Christians or non-Christians alike.
Wait, so do you
skeptical? That's a skeptical face.
No, I really hate horror movies. I'm such a baby with like blood and like seeing hard things on screen.
I've seen it. Like I grew up watching it and I feel like it's like I don't know, I feel like it didn't make me, a bad guy, right? In that sense. Yeah. But also now when I look back, I'm like, I don't want to watch it again. But I'll give you this. Like I feel like some of the horror, especially like suspense, it's fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Right? Because it has you. It's like a thrill. Like you're expecting. Like when is the pop up going to happen?
Yeah.
The scared jump.
And to be clear, like I don't think all horror films are redemptive. I don't think all horror films have objective value necessarily. Like I think that there are horror films that are made cynically for money or just to like get gore on the screen or whatever it is, to satisfy that audience or that market. But I just want to point out, like I feel the exact same way about Christian films. Like there's just stuff out there that is just like the equivalent. It's like the Christian equivalent of like blood and gore. Like you're just preaching to the choir. You're just
names. Names.
Beto, how about when people say like, don't watch that movie because you're opening doors.
Oh yeah.
That evil spirits are gonna come to your house. What do you think?
Interesting.
I'm Christ's. He's claimed me, right? Like theologically speaking, like we don't actually believe that.
I think there is like, because I've watched some movies where and I have a harder time with movies with like demons, and because that is real. Like we believe that really happens. And so I think I have gone into movies where I'm like, okay, Lord, please just like, either I'm watching this movie because a friend wants to watch it and I'm like, and they don't love the Lord. And that did happen where I was like, I'll watch another movie. And she's like, I really want you to watch this movie with me. And I'm like, okay. And I've got to preach the gospel to her a couple times after that. But I remember praying like, God, please just blur all of this in my mind. Like, and please just protect me from any darkness. And I think we have to do that in general. Like,
and to be clear, I think that there are things that like people of God should not be engaging in. Like, I think there are things that people of God shouldn't be seeing necessarily. But I think of I just think of Christ and the places that he went and the things that he preached and the people he came to save. He wanted to enter into dark places. And I mean, he went out and touched the demon possessed man. He he never placed himself in a position. Literally, the most famous act he did was placing himself in harm's way. Like, he never backed away from. I just think he recognized his own power, and for us, we get the opportunity to adopt
that power.
Yeah, like I'm Christ's.
Yeah,
I'm not for sale. Like, my doors aren't open for demons to come and, dwell in me. Like, Christ has claimed me, and I trust that. And I'm gonna now, because of that I must then proceed with caution, right? There's some things I don't need to engage with.
Yeah.
It's not good for my heart and my soul.
And because I think it maybe in those moments of like, yeah, you're saying like the idea of like opening the door to this stuff, it's like, then I'm forgetting the truth. Like, I'm forgetting that I'm like beloved and I'm chosen and I'm precious in God's sight.
Yeah, you lose your identity.
Where I think is the danger.
I just love la parábola.
Parables.
When Jesus is explaining them, that the good plant or the tree is growing next to the weeds, right? So what would tell us? I can go and clean it. And just like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because when you want to pull the weed, you're going to come with the good plant. And both are going to be dead.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Let them grow together. And, God will come, and that's his job.
Yeah.
When he's going to separate.
And
I have feel.
Yeah, it's so good.
Because, in that sense of be holy and don't act like the world, we separate ourselves. At some point that no, she's drinking, I'm not going to be her friend because she drinks.
Yeah.
Right? Or no, she is a liar. I'm not going to hang out with her because she's a liar. And, but no, we need to do life together, right? And try to be light, the salt of this world. So I get your point.
Well, he himself says, he tells his believers, take heart, for I have overcome the world. He didn't avoid the world. He was in it, and he overcame the temptations of the world. He overcame the darkness of the world. And he's telling us, take heart, I've done that. Like, you will do that through me. And I think that we have that encouragement wherever we go, whatever we engage in. Like, God has already overcome it. Like, we have no reason to fear.
That's cool. And so, when you were talking about that, the Passion of the Christ movie like came to mind. I'm like, that's true. I mean, the cross, basically the Passion of the Christ, like could technically be a horror film.
I never watched that movie for
I think it unquestionably is.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. And I think it would have been a lesser film if it had not been. Like, we have to see that horror. Like, it makes powerful and profound what Christ really did for us.
Yeah. So and then you said that, and then it reminded me the story of this guy named Scott Heiberger. He's got a ministry called Behind the Wire. So he ended up in prison and then came out of prison, and he made a film with Michael W. Smith, the Christian singer.
Oh yeah.
But it was funny because when I was talking to him, he was sharing like how he came to faith, and he said he was at a movie theater watching a horror film. And then he just felt like an overwhelming presence of the Holy Spirit. Like, he couldn't explain what it was back then because he wasn't like a Christian. He didn't have like the background.
Yeah.
But he just felt like a need of like, I need light. I need something. And then just the presence of God came. And out of that, he's like, I need to read a Bible. I need to go into scripture. And then he was put into prison and all of that. But in prison, he started reading. And then he came out of it, and now he's got a ministry. But I'm like, cool. He was touched. Like, that to me, like, surprised me, because you would think, okay, you were watching the Passion of the Christ, and God moved, which we've heard those stories, right? Like, oh yeah, it moved me, or I gave my life to Christ, or whatever. But in a horror film, the guy, and I'm not saying like go watch a horror film to feel the presence of God, but that just speaks to how God is. Oh, yeah, like he can, like he shows up.
Yeah.
In
this
in
guy
like the
comes
worst.
to faith in a horror film, and God reaches me in a book where they're worshiping false gods.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's where God entered into there, and he's like, "Hey, Jarrad, look at me."
Yeah.
Yeah, we met someone too that, do you remember at
Yeah, I did. I was thinking
he said the same thing. He was watching a horror movie.
It was The Exorcist.
It was The Exorcist.
Wow.
And he said that in it, there was like scripture that came to his head and he had never read it before.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, and in that moment, I was like, oh, I need to find God. It was crazy.
Wow.
And then he said he had never watched horror after that.
Yeah. Wow.
That was the last.
And it could be that what you're saying, right? Like when we're exposed to horror, maybe like something tells you there's something wrong. Like there's gotta be redemption, right? So maybe, and then God is moving, right? And he can use anything.
Sure.
Point us to him. But that's, I mean, those are some stories of like how he can even redeem horror, or anything, right? Any form of
it reminds me too of, I remember someone talking about the spread of Christianity in those first centuries, and he was talking about like what spread Christianity in the first centuries: persecution, martyrdom. Like that was God's plan all along, because as they began to be pursued and put to death, they spread out further in the region, and as they spread out further, they carried the message with them. And if at first they were just accepted, it might have just stayed there, and it might have just become a regional religion, which God never would have intended. Like his redemption plan was for all people over all time. And it's crazy to think like there's this horror scenario going on, in Jerusalem and in these places where these people are, and like horrible things are happening to them, but God is using it. He's spreading them out throughout the region, and they're taking the message with them as they go.
Wow.
Makes me think of, have you guys read The Hiding Place? The book?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Corey ten Boom.
By Corey ten Boom. I read it once a year because it's just so good. But it's about this woman who her and her sister are like hiding Jewish people, and they end up going to a concentration camp when they're in their 60s. But her sister says something that I love that reminded me of what you're saying in like these dark places. Like she says, there's like, you have to get out of here and write about this and tell people that there's no pit so deep that God's love is not deeper still. And I think about that in those moments of like, oh, you're in the darkest place, like God's love is deeper still. Like, and there's no place he's not willing to reach in and out of,
Wow. Yeah. Because doesn't the Bible say something like Jesus went to the abyss, like down to hell?
Yeah.
Basically, when he was on the cross and died, that's how far he went.
Yeah.
Right. And then this is maybe like a theologically interesting thing in the Bible where it says people resurrected. Mili was telling me the other day, like, do you think like they actually like when Jesus rose from the dead, that it says that bodies rose from the dead?
Zombies.
Yeah.
We got zombies.
I'm like, what was that? Was that a vision? Was that real? Was that?
Yeah.
So anyways, that's maybe a conversation for another time. Okay. So one more thing before we go to our emojis, because I think it'll be fun because, the way you do it, I think you're going to enjoy the emojis.
Okay.
But what are some of your like favorite films of all time? What's that maybe that you've watched again and again?
Can we have you guys answer this question?
Yeah.
I will say, I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first.
What's your favorite?
Okay, probably one of my favorite ones is for sure the Back to the Future trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got to show her that
all
for
the
the first
time. It's so good. It's just fun and entertaining. And for sure, Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
We watch like every 2 years.
Yes. So good.
I'm the guy that I tell my kids, when there's a good movie, I don't want to watch it again, at least in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So that when I watch it again, it's like, oh, it was so good. And then in maybe 3 years, sometimes it just happens that we watch it again. But I would say those are in my tops, and there's many for sure.
Yeah.
You, Mili?
Whatever Beto say.
You don't have a favorite?
I'm so bad at it. I don't know.
You don't have like a movie you like that was.
That if no one was home,
Mili just loves good stories, but like I said, she's not like, oh, the actor or this or that. Just like, but you enjoy, for example, Marvel movies and.
I love Marvel movies.
Which one's your favorite?
So good.
Yeah.
Was that Infinity War?
Infinity War.
I actually a really funny story about that movie.
Bible. You know, like they have so many.
They rip it off.
The first time I ever watched Infinity War, I watched the second half of it in a bar by myself and the sound was off.
Sounds
just,
like a sad.
Yeah,
it was just the subtitles. It was just the subtitles, and I told Danielle afterwards.
I know, yeah.
How?
Well, I was just like watching it, but I told Danielle afterwards or whatever that like I made this as a joke, like at its detriment, but I realized later on that it's actually to its merit. Like I feel like I understood everything that I was seeing on the screen without actually having any dialogue.
Wow.
And it was almost like I was watching a silent film, you know? And I think that one of the things that those movies do really well is convey everything on the screen that you need to know. And I really like that. But I ended up watching it later on with all the time.
Yeah, and he genuinely loved it.
Yeah. I'm not a huge superhero movie guy.
He's not. I love a good superhero movie though.
Yeah.
I like
true stories.
Oh, that's true.
Where I learn something and, I feel like I can apply it. That's the movies I really love. Like nowadays, we've been doing reviews for Angel Studios.
Oh, cool.
And we go to the premiere and we went for the Chosen too.
Oh,
we love the Chosen. Yeah.
I really like the
so
Chosen.
much fun. I just loved the first series. I feel like the last ones, I was like
a little disappointed.
A little
I
bit.
think we gotta watch them again. We can like rush through because they released like all the we saw them in the theaters.
Oh yeah.
And you know how they did like 3 episodes and it was kind of long. Like you're sitting down for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Like I gotta watch it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me it's like when the Chosen has a little bit of like that extra biblical stuff. Some of it like I appreciate, but some of it is like, oh, come on, like get rid of Rima. You know?
I thought that was a really risky thing to do. Not only is it
going,
not only is it extra biblical, but like I just this is tough. I love the Chosen. I think the Chosen.
I love it, but that's the part that bothered me, and I'm like, oh, now I see it more like as a show, which is their intent, right? It's a show,
was their intent,
which is good. But I feel like before it was a little bit more like, oh, okay, this is like Jesus speaking to me. So I don't know, it might be for the benefit that I'm not idolizing the Chosen. Now.
I actually feel the Chosen like has some of the best filmmaking I've seen in the last 10 years. Like,
wow,
Dallas Jenkins is such a talented filmmaker. And there's some stuff that there was a scene in one of the seasons that we watched that I was like, hey, I got to rewind that and watch it again. And it was like this is straight out of a Martin Scorsese film. Wow. Like this is incredible filmmaking, not just for a show, not just for a Christian show, but just like from a cinematic perspective, this is incredible filmmaking. I love The Chosen.
That's been a sweet thing of The Chosen because a lot of like there are some Christian movies that can come off being really cheesy, and this one just did not. It did so I was skeptical when people told us to watch it. I was like, I don't know, like that's probably going to be.
It took us a really long time to commit to it.
We watched it. I was like, this is actually really good.
We're also really bad at television. We don't really watch shows. We love movies too much, and we always want to watch movies when we get opportunities. So, but The Chosen is really good.
Yeah.
Same here. We don't watch TV or shows.
Yeah.
Just movies.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. What's your favorite movie? You didn't answer.
You go first.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite movies is Little Women. Have you guys seen it?
Little Women?
The recent one with like the Greta Gerwig 2019.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, really good.
Let's pause.
So it's an adaptation of who wrote it? Louisa May
Alcott. Yeah, it's like a book.
Yeah. So it was written in the 1800s.
That might be the old one.
Oh, really?
No,
that's it. Yeah,
that's the one.
That's the one.
Great film.
Great film.
We saw that movie.
Is that right?
No.
We saw that movie the night we got engaged.
Yeah, we saw it the night we got engaged. It had come out.
Yeah, we got engaged on Christmas Day, and it came out on Christmas Day.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so we watch it every Christmas, and
that's cool.
love it. Every year I cry when I watch it. It's
a wonderul film.
I also really love movies that have to do with food. Like I really love
The Taste of Things.
Yeah, The Taste of Things, which is a French film.
Yeah.
That like was just about like fine dining, and they were
like my favorite film of 2023. The Taste
great.
of Things. It's a wonderful film.
Yeah.
Juliette Binoche, right? Whatever it was.
What is this movie that this guy wants to kill himself, and a Mexican woman comes and knocks the door to bring him
that's
food?
Otto. A Man Named Otto.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was Mili. If you've seen that, that's Mili. Like, hey, don't die right now. I got food.
Was that the Tom Hanks one?
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
That's Mili.
I was just crying and crying with that. I saw that movie because it's literally you.
Yeah, Mili would be that person. Like, don't die right now. I got tamales for you. Come.
That's so good.
Love that.
Yeah, my favorite film of all time, and has been since the very day I saw it in theaters, is There Will Be Blood by Paul Thomas Anderson. Stars Daniel Day-Lewis.
I've only seen one time because he made me watch it, and it was really great, but it was something that I was like, I don't know if I ever want to watch this again because it was so intense.
But I love this movie. No other movie compares to it for me. I think it is the absolute best movie I've ever seen. And it is a dark film. It's a drama about Daniel Day-Lewis plays like an oil man in the early days of like the Industrial Revolution. Is that right? I don't know if that time period works, but anyway. But he goes out to California to look for oil. He finds some in this small town where a kind of like a prosperity gospel preacher is, and they kind of butt heads, and you see them kind of go back and forth at it and whatnot. Which is actually it being my favorite film is like a great impetus for the podcast. Like,
true.
Because I just
preacher's like the worst in it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's definitively my favorite film, and it's a very dark film, but I actually think it's one of the funniest movies ever made.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sick and twisted individual.
There's two right there. I gotta watch Little Women. And There Will Be Blood.
Very different vibes.
Where does you with like, how do you find films to watch? Like, do you go to Netflix? Is there a place where you're like, oh yeah, or actors maybe that you follow that are like, okay, this is gonna be a good movie? Like, how did you end up like watching There Will Be Blood? And
well, I think one of the best tools that we currently have is Letterboxd. It's a
like a movie review.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a movie archiving app. So like you can follow other people, but you basically just log the different films that you watch, and you can review them, and you can make lists of your favorite films and stuff like that. But I've always been obsessed with films. I remember when I was a little kid, like one of my favorite things to do was watch trailers for like upcoming films. And I used to like, in my imagination, like when I was out in the neighborhood, I used to like try to make my own trailers. Like I would create stories in my head and invent them. And I would wander around and be like, Keanu Reeves is this guy. And I would do that.
Maybe one day you can do a movie with Beto.
Yeah. I have a really good story. Well, not me, but a friend wrote a really good story.
Cool.
Yeah. I
am actually an aspiring filmmaker myself. I would love to make some someday.
Yeah, I think Jarrad's the one that finds the trailers, and then he'll show me and be like, "Do you want to see this movie?" And I'll just, like judge it based off.
I spend a lot of time on IMDb as well, where like I will literally just go through like hundreds of like acting profiles, and I'll just see like not only what they've been in, because like I want to see everything good, but also like what they on IMDb they have a little thing of like upcoming projects, and you can see like what's coming up. And so I'll keep that in mind. I also listen to like an industry podcast called The Big Picture on the Ringer podcast network. And they talk a lot about like upcoming films. They go to the festivals and see those films that premiere at festivals. And those films usually premiere at those festivals, 6 to 12 months before they actually are available for us, So I'll hear about them, and then I'll just anticipate them for, however long.
That's cool. Any favorite foreign film?
Oh man, so many.
I think The Taste of Things is my
Like
it's a French film and it's beautiful.
Taste of Things.
Okay.
I've been on a Akira Kurosawa kick lately. So he's a Japanese filmmaker, famous for making Seven Samurai, which is what The Magnificent Seven is based on, the old cowboy film. He also did High and Low, which was just recently reinterpreted by Spike Lee. That was a Denzel Washington film, Highest to Lowest, that just came out, which I didn't enjoy. But we just covered an Ingmar Bergman film, the great Swedish master, Winter Light, on the podcast. That movie is really beautiful and good. One of my all-time favorite films is called La Haine. It's am I saying that right? La Haine?
Oh, I don't know.
Lying. I think it's a French film. Lying translates to hate. And it's just about these like kind of street thugs wandering around the city while they await. So there had been a riot the night before, and one of their friends was critically injured, and so the whole film is them just wandering around the city awaiting word on what has happened to their friend. And it's an incredible, wonderful, brilliant film. It's French and it's really good. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
I think mine would be La Vita è Bella.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Life is Beautiful. Yeah, that was good. Good movie. Italian.
Parasite is a recent one.
Parasite?
It came out in 2019. Won Best Picture.
I think I remember hearing about
Bong Joon-ho film.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I remember
one of my favorite filmmakers is Andrei Tarkovsky, who she has a love-hate relationship with.
His movies are very long and they're like drawn out, and you need to be like a lover of film, I think, to really appreciate them.
There's a scene in one of his movies where a guy walks across a fountain carrying a flame, a candle, and like you're supposed to like there's like this, I guess, like sacred kind of mystical ritual, like pilgrimage where you go to this fountain and you light a candle and you have to carry the fountain or the candle from one side of the fountain to the other without it going out, and it'll grant you like your prayers or something like that. And so you see him doing this, and each time he goes, the flame goes out, so he has to go back and start again.
It's so painful.
But it's all one take.
Oh wow!
The entire shot is one take, and it takes like 9 minutes, and it's just the most like stunning, like incredible, like heart-wrenching, but also like you're on the edge of your seat watching him carry a candle across a fountain. Wow. It's just like the most incredible thing you've ever seen. Yeah. And afterwards, Danielle was like, "What was that?"
I was like, "This is terrible." Never made me watch it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's so many. Yeah. So growing up in Mexico, I feel like I was in a better relationship with foreign films. I think when I came here, I just started watching whatever was available here because it was harder to watch other films. But I used to love Spanish directors. And right now I can't remember the name, but
who's your favorite?
I forgot his name right now. But
Alfonso Cuarón.
Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah, he's
he might be the one of Los Amantes del Círculo Polar, the lovers of the polar circle. I don't know if
I think I've heard of that one.
That was one of my favorite ones.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like a love story, but seen from one of those movies where you see like each person's angle at a time. So you see one side of the story, and then you see the other side of the story, and then you see the other side of the story, and then it all comes kind of like combines together.
Do you know the filmmaker Inarritu?
Yeah.
Alejandro Inarritu.
Amores Perros?
Yeah. He's Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love him. He's a great filmmaker.
Yeah. And another, like right now, another great like Mexican director, and he's partnered with Angel Studios, so they're making really good movies. It's Alejandro Monteverde. So he's the guy behind Sound of Freedom. Then he did another one, really good one. It's called ¿cómo se llama? La de Cabrini. It's about a monk, not a monk, the women monk.
Yeah, nun.
Yeah.
And now he's coming with another movie, which has the guy in Amores Perros with Iñárritu.
Oh yeah,
Gael García Bernal.
Yeah, I love him.
Which Gael García Bernal and Diego Luna, who is in Andor, right? The main character in Andor. So Diego Luna and Gael Garcia were like buddies growing up in Mexico and making films for like all the Mexicans. Like, oh, Gael Garcia and Diego Luna were like...
Y tu mamá también.
Yeah, y tu mamá también, all of those. So now Gael Garcia is in a new movie from Alejandro Monteverde, which is coming out in December this year. And it's about it's called Zero AD. It's going to be about the killing of the babies in Bethlehem when Jesus is born. So I'm like, I gotta watch this movie. You know, it's like great director, and then it's got Gael Garcia Bernal. So like, how did they get him to be in this?
That's great.
I really like Gael Garcia Bernal. He's good
awesome.
in everything he's in.
I would say most of his movies, I'm like, sign me up.
For sure. He's one of those actors that like every time he's in a movie, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro's like that too.
Oh, Benicio,
yeah.
Cool. Okay, so there's a few that are awesome. Let's see. I want to go to the emojis, but I want to make sure
you didn't miss any films you got to cover.
Yeah, a few, but Denzel Washington. I just want to say, one of my favorite. He is one of my favorite actors. But man, the movie about the gladiator, the second one.
He was the only part of that movie I liked.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I hated that movie. I thought it was really bad, but I thought
him?
I loved his character. It seemed like he was the only one who was like on the wavelength with like the story, like and he was just like goofing off and having fun. Everyone else is so serious.
Way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And somebody. So I don't know if you follow these guys, but maybe you can tell me what you think about. Have you heard of Nerderotic? No.
Mm.
So he's a reviewer on YouTube of films, and then the other one is the Critical Drinker. Have you ever heard of the Critical? Yeah. Okay, love the Critical Drinker.
That's a great name.
It's just he's awesome. He's I think from Scotland.
Oh, cool.
And criticizes films, but then he was criticizing the one with Denzel. And he was saying, he comes, he got the tone, the accent, right? He's like, and this guy is looking like he's from the Bronx. And he's totally out of place or something like that, right? And then at the end of his reviews, he always says, anyways, that's all I have for you. Go away now. Great. I love his reviews. It's just funny.
That's good.
So, okay, that's all I wanted to say about this.
Had to get it out about
I love a lot of Denzel movies.
I'll straight up watch Denzel Washington in anything.
Yeah.
Like I watched that Equalizer series.
Equalizer, yeah.
Which like
my kids love Equalizer.
They were very good, but like I'd watch 18 of those movies. Wow. Like if you put Denzel Washington, no. There's only 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if you put Denzel Washington in an action situation, I'll watch it every single time.
Yeah. One of my favorites is Deja Vu.
Oh, yeah.
That's such
Val
a good
Kilmer's
film.
in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the emojis. All right. I'll put them on the screen over there if you can see them.
Okay.
Or I have them all over my body today. So the one on the far left, it's called the Blasphemous.
Okay.
And so as I was listening to you guys' show, I'm like, oh, they'll enjoy this because it's somewhat similar.
Yeah.
So it goes from blasphemous to divine, right? So the idea is a beliefometer. It goes from the worst to the best.
Okay.
So it's blasphemous, then skeptical, inspired, holy, and divine.
Okay.
So maybe we'll just make like a general review.
Okay.
Of maybe cultures and movies. You can take it wherever you want, right? You can talk about one film in specific. You can talk about a Christian film, the Christian music, the Christian movie industry, or just in general.
Okay.
But where do you see each one of these? So the first one being the blasphemous. What is the most blasphemous idea when it comes to maybe films in general, or Christian films, or your most blasphemous film that you've ever watched?
I'm gonna say the God's Not Dead.
Yeah,
that's the most blasphemous, like cheesy.
Yeah, God's Not Dead for me. I just think like there's a whole vein of those types of movies where like the main character is not only the hero, like he's never forced to change. He's never forced to grow, which is actually like to me what makes good storytelling. You watch a person go through an arc where they like grow and transform. In those movies, everyone else is expected to change and transform, and like no lesson is ever learned other than like whatever they're already preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
And there ends up being no redemption in them. Like it's just like, you know, the Christian guy was the hero all along, and look how he proved everyone wrong.
Yeah.
And there's also there's also a level of like persecution complex in those films, where it's like the whole point of the films is just like, look how the world is after us and they're trying to take us down. It's like, no, they're not. Everyone's trying to survive. Like,
I also just kind of think like if I were watching that with a friend that didn't love Jesus, I would be like, oh gosh, let me explain this.
Let's stop watching.
Yeah, let's stop watching. It's cringy.
Yeah. I'd say that.
Yeah.
Cool. I love it. Mili, you want to add any blasphemous movie? That's also a good one. Okay.
We're actually covering God's Not Dead on the podcast.
We are doing it on the podcast. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm not looking forward to that episode.
Wow. That's cool. I love it. Okay. Skeptical emoji.
Skeptical.
Where do you see skepticism in the film industry? in the Christian industry, or what's a film that you're skeptical of?
The first thing that came to my mind was just based upon what I just said about contemporary Christian film. Like when we were first introduced to The Chosen, I was so skeptical of it. Like I just wasn't sure. I didn't think it was. There's the joke, whatever, that I forgot who makes it, but like, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Like I was just like, that's what I thought in my head. It's like, can anything good come out of the contemporary Christian film industry?
And
like,
it did. It's great.
And it did.
Yeah.
I think that would be my answer.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that.
Cool. So you're staying the same?
Well, I wanted to put The Chosen higher up because I love
Okay.
it. So
awesome.
if I'm allowed to bring it back, I'll keep it for skeptical. Yeah. I was skeptical of it at first, but yeah.
Any other? You right now like besides or something coming out that you're like, not sure.
I have another thing that came to my head that might be kind of controversial, but I still want to say it. There's a strain of Christian nationalism that's going on in our country right now.
A little bit.
Where
I can feel that.
Yeah.
anything that is even like right wing, like tinged, I feel myself like very skeptical of.
Wow.
Like it's I'm very liberal in my politics, but like there's a lot that I appreciate about like, true political conservatives. But like I find myself now sometimes like, oh, this studio is affiliated with this politician.
Oh, really? Like films?
Yeah.
You feel like it's happening?
And like
names.
when those things
Give me the names.
when those
Name
things
them.
happen, I just get a little nervous, I'm skeptical.
So you're skeptical of some studios?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which are?
No comment.
Okay.
Yeah, like we were in a Bible study, right? And is this we were reading these books and they say, oh yeah, this book, it's from
Turning Point.
And one of my friends jumped. I don't want nothing to do because politics and God, it was like some queer atmosphere. Like, wait a minute. And I really like, it's different thing.
It's a different turning point. Yeah. It was the church called Turning Point or something. Like David Jeremiah. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. So it gets better. Now we go to the inspired emoji. So where do you see inspiration? What films inspired you? What film inspired you? Or
I was just talking to someone about this last night, but I'm really inspired by like improvisation in films, where the
like
actors
acting improvisation.
Yeah, the actors are free to kind of like embody their characters and say stuff that's maybe off script, but that drives the story forward. And Paul Thomas Anderson, my favorite director, just came out with a new movie called One Battle After Another.
You guys have to see it.
Which they employ a lot of that, and incredible film. The pacing in it is just extraordinary. It's just like one of the most exciting like films I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
If I do that,
well, before you leave, I gotta write down all the films you're telling me.
We're like, watch this.
You have their contact. We can ask them.
Yeah.
You just listen to the podcast again. Listen to the whole episode again. Just pick up
all the ones you said.
Yeah.
Danielle.
For inspiring, I think I am inspired by films that are coming out now that are not necessarily Christian, but that are pointing to like things in our culture that they have a problem with. Like One Battle After Another was like that, but I'm also thinking of Eddington, which I don't know if you guys heard of that, but it was like kind of like it's called Eddington.
Oh, Eddington. I thought you said Paddington.
No.
The bear.
Also that.
Also
Paddington.
I am inspired by Paddington.
My girl loves Paddington.
Yes, Paddington's also great.
Okay.
But where it was like, it took place in 2020 and it was like a horror film in 2020. Wow. And it did do a really good job of everyone was kind of awful during this time. Like no one was right. And so I don't know, I've been appreciating or inspired by films that are like taking an honest look at like our culture and like what is going on. It's challenged me to like think about it differently.
Cool. Mili, you have any inspiring?
I just love the movies who
your microphone ends up like pointing like.
Sorry. I love the truth. Even if it's not a Christian movie, but they match with the truth, I'm in love.
Yeah.
And I'm happy and give me like
the truth sets free.
Yeah. So I just that
nice. Any movie with truth.
Yes.
I like that.
Love it. Okay, the next one is holy, and remember, there's one to the last. So, what's a holy film?
Set apart.
What's a set apart film?
Ooh, okay.
Or yeah.
Like, I actually feel like I want to put The Chosen here.
Okay, nice.
Because there was something cool about seeing like the Gospels are like it's a story, but it's written in such a way that like we don't read stories now, so it's very just like fact, and so it was so cool to see like this kind of like I agree with you. Like during the beginning seasons, I was like, this feels what it would feel like to like sit with Jesus, and there were just like some small things like where he's like sleeping on the ground, and then he like wakes up, and you're like, oh yeah, Jesus slept on the ground.
Yes.
And that would have been like painful, and like I don't know, and some of the like miracles that like I love how you see like how people responded after he did the miracle, and that was so beautiful because I think that like you that kind of can be missed in the gospel sometimes because you're just like reading it as like
the stories of the apostle like Mary Magdalene, right? Like it was so real,
so beautiful too. Yeah,
like and how many people we can relate with her, right? God liberate us from sin, and we're new creatures, and even give us our names back. It's
I called you by name. And everybody
everyone sobbing.
He knows my name.
So
okay, Jarrad, what's your holy
set it
take?
apart? I don't know what I just recently saw the new film The Smashing Machine from Benny Safdie, starring The Rock. He plays famed UFC fighter Mark Kerr, and I was just really inspired by that movie and just kind of blown away by the production of it. And that's the first thing that came to my mind. I was just like, what did I see recently that like made me feel like set apart? And that movie just felt so unique and so well done, well told. And I think that's what I'd.
So maybe well told stories.
Well told stories. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It's filmed like documentary style.
Yeah.
So it feels very like voyeuristic. You're like just watching this guy's life unfold. And I thought it was really good. Plus I've never seen The Rock do anything like that before. Like his performance in it is extraordinary. And I love that. I love it when actors do unexpected things, and you just find yourself inspired by it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, when you said that, one of my favorite movies that came to mind because it was so different was Inception.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. What a different take on dreams and stuff like that. It was so cool. Okay, last one. Divine Emoji. What's like the highest idea, the highest film, the highest idea in films that you can think of?
I probably have a controversial one for Jarrad. I think 90s rom-coms. Like
90s rom-coms.
Yes, they're like
comedias románticas.
if you put any like 90s rom-com on for me, I'm like, this is great. I'm having the best time.
This is the ideal.
I'm so happy. Yeah, this is my ideal time.
This is the pinnacle.
Like Clueless, Never Been Kissed. Like, oh my gosh, so many. I'm like, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Pretty Woman, just all of those that I'm like, I'll just be having the best time. I'll just be thinking of like nothing, and I'll just be so relaxed.
Rom-coms.
My answer is the Criterion Channel. The Criterion Channel the Criterion Collection is a collection of films that have been curated for the last, I think, 40 years, in which they just select like timeless films throughout history, and then just like basically update them. So they make these beautiful Blu-rays and DVDs where they have like so much like behind the scenes footage and like documentaries and like writing about the films themselves. And then it's just also like by putting them in the Criterion Collection, you're preserving for posterity like these incredible influential films. And they have a streaming app called the Criterion Channel, which I'm obsessed with, and I'm just on there all the time.
You watch a lot of foreign films.
Yeah, I watch a lot of foreign films, old films, influential films. They have like many like director collections, so you can watch watch like all the works of Akira Kurosawa or Andrei Tarkovsky on there, Federico Fellini. Like it's just a wonderful place. And that to me is just like, that's just divine. Like that's the place that I want to be.
That's interesting. So you're saying almost like the perpetuation of the art or the films. And it made me think of like the opposite. Like, is there anything not worth preserving?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You would say
there's stuff on the channel that I don't think should be on there, but that's the thing about art. Like everyone gets to participate.
That's cool.
You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Want to say something? Divine?
You know, I was thinking of the movie, the George Floyd. It's a
George Floyd.
George Floyd.
George Floyd?
No,
the guy in the BLM march?
The fighter.
George Foreman.
George Foreman. Yeah. There was that movie that just came out about him, right?
So you put him in your divine?
See.
Okay.
I just, like to see in movies the power of God and the transformation.
Yeah.
That is like, okay, I have hope.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
He can
That's
do
a good movie.
Because I think as a humans, we excuse ourselves by saying that.
Yeah.
I'm a human. I'm a a sinner. Like, stop saying that. We have the higher power in us to do perfection. And I feel with the movies, with people who have Christ, they can do everything.
Yeah.
And they can go huge. That's what is happening with The Chosen.
Yes. Yeah.
We used to have the cheesy movies or cheesy shows about Christianity and Jesus and all this. That's like, I don't want to watch that because boring, so slow. But then they're presenting this and it's moving. A lot of people's watching now. We have, I don't know how many languages, like it's all around the world. Yeah. Why? Because we have the higher power working in us. And what happened with this guy in the movie, it's amazing. He was fighting and just was taking a shower and he wake up and I'm a preacher now. Totally transformation. Like nobody understood what's going on with you. And
I think there's such a need for, or there's such a hunger right now for like transcendent art, like good art that speaks of things beyond us.
And I think that's how I feel about the God's not dead thing. Like, where I'm like, yeah, you have, like, why can't it be good? Like, we have the power of Christ. We have there are people that are creative and artistic that are working for the kingdom of God. And so I'm like, let's make these movies good. Like, they can be good.
There's like a vein.
Done that.
There's a vein of contemporary Christian film where it's like they're refuting the verse where it's like, we are not at war against flesh and blood, but we are at war against the principalities and all that stuff. And they're just like, no, we are at war with flesh and blood, and these are our enemies, and we have to defeat them. And it's so boring.
Like, let's make it better.
Let's make it true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like
that's so good.
You're not being persecuted every moment of every day. Like you live in America.
Here.
Especially in America. Yeah.
You live in America. I love that. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna end with that. I want to say hi and thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody listening, watching. And I want to point people to you guys' podcast, okay? And I'll tell you an idea I have. But where can people listen to,
wherever you find.
Guys. And also, it's only audio, right?
Yeah.
It's only audio. Yeah.
I find that intriguing. I love it.
We'll
there's
never
just
do
something
video.
I feel like when there's a camera, it's cool. Like I love cameras, right?
Oh, for sure.
But I feel like there's something when the camera is not rolling, it's just audio.
Yes.
There's a different freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hear it when I listen to you guys. So not to say don't go on camera ever, but I feel like
you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, Spotify,
Apple Podcasts.
Apple.
Yeah.
I don't know what other ones are.
Google
Play, is that a thing?
Buzzsprout. I think Google took it down.
Yeah, Buzzsprout.
But
Lord Forgive Us Our Cinema.
Yeah, we're on Instagram at Lord Forgive Us Our Cinema, all underscores in between, I believe. I don't remember. We do memes.
Memes?
We try to do memes for every episode
that we do.
That's cool.
Every episode that we do.
So we'll just try to take something from the film and try to I don't know, compare it or point to a passage in the Bible.
Never go with video?
Why never go with video?
Well,
I don't know. It seems like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what microphones do you use? And
we have Shure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the recorder.
I don't know what John uses.
I don't know.
He
just plugs in directly to his computer and does it on like GarageBand.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's cool. It sounds great.
Yeah,
I was just curious. Like, I wonder this. My technical side, right? Needs to know.
Yeah,
because I can't see it.
Yeah, that's fair. We have someone that produces for us, and he does it for a living.
Ray does all of our editing. He was the guy who appeared on episode 2.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, well, thank you everybody for listening, watching. I gotta say this because Spotify told me so. Invite people to like, subscribe, and share the episode. So if you like this, like it. If you really like it, share it. And if you share it, come back again. Right? Visit us at christianpodcast.com. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you so much for having us.
Super.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Thank you guys.